45. That's how many times 3IATLAS rotated while building jets that stretch 1,000,000 kilometers into space. 45 complete spins. 16.16 hours per rotation. 1 month of continuous outgassing at 400 meters per second. By every law of rotational physics, those jets should show 45 visible curves, 45 spirals, 45 signatures of a spinning body marking its path through space like a cosmic garden sprinkler. Instead, they show 0. Absolute linearity. Not a single degree of deviation across distances so vast that light itself takes over 3 seconds to cross them. Jets so perfectly straight, so impossibly stable, that when astrophotographers captured them on November 8th and 9th, the images didn't just surprise the scientific community, they violated fundamental expectations. This is anomaly number 12. And according to Avi Loeb's methodology, when nature refuses to behave naturally 12 times in a row, you stop calling it coincidence. You start calling it a pattern. This is the story of jets that shouldn't exist. The images came from 5 astrophotographers: Frank Niebling, Michael Buechner, Michael Jäger, Gerald Rhemann, and Ervin Prosperi. 5 3-minute exposures, stacked and processed with precision. 2 different telescopes, same result. What they captured wasn't spectacular because of brightness or color. It was spectacular because it was fundamentally wrong. The jets appear as thin needles, razor-straight structures extending outward from the nucleus like spokes on a wheel. No curvature, no blurring, no hint of the rotational smearing that should be unavoidable for a spinning object 30 million kilometers from Mars. Think about a garden sprinkler on a summer afternoon. When it rotates, the water draws curves in the air, spirals, arcs. That's basic geometry. Rotation creates pattern. Now imagine that sprinkler in deep space, venting material at 400 meters per second. If it completes 1 rotation every 16 hours, each jet should trace a curved path, a visible record of the spin beneath. Over 1,000,000 kilometers, those curves should be obvious, dramatic, unmistakable. But 3IATLAS isn't drawing curves. It's drawing perfectly straight lines. The math is unforgiving. At 400 meters per second, material takes roughly 1 month to travel 1,000,000 kilometers. During that month, the object completes 45 full rotations. If jets follow rotational dynamics, we should see 45 distinct wiggles along each jet trail. We see none, not one, not even a slight deviation. These aren't approximate straight lines or mostly straight jets. These are geometrically perfect trajectories maintained across distances that dwarf anything we've seen from natural comets. And that's where the problem begins. Because in physics, perfect stability across 45 rotations doesn't happen by accident. Let's examine the natural explanations first, because that's where rigorous science always begins. Hypothesis 1. Did outgassing slow the rotation? Perhaps the rotation period changed dramatically since July. Outgassing can produce torques that alter spin rates. This happens with comets. Maybe 3IATLAS slowed down enough that the jets appear stable. But here's the problem. Outgassing almost always spins comets up, not down. The jets from 3IATLAS are massive, energetic, explosive. They don't act like braking systems. They act like thrusters accelerating rotation. Physics doesn't favor this explanation. Next, hypothesis 2. Sunlight-driven sublimation at specific angles. Maybe the nucleus has deep pockets of ice trapped in shadowed valleys. Only when the sun strikes them at precise angles does sublimation occur, creating pulses of material timed to the rotation. This is physically possible, but it creates a testable prediction. If jets are pulsed rather than continuous, they should show regular spacing. Individual puffs strung along the trail like beads on a string. We can calculate that spacing. 400 meters per second multiplied by 16.16 hours equals 23,270 kilometers per puff. Over 1,000,000 kilometers, that's 43 distinct puffs. The images show continuous, smooth, uninterrupted jets. No puffs, no spacing, no gaps. This explanation fails the observational test. Next, hypothesis 3. Fragmentation trails. Perhaps we're not looking at active jets at all. Maybe 3IATLAS broke apart near perihelion, and these jets are vapor trails from fragments ejected during the breakup. Debris moving in straight lines, not affected by rotation because they're no longer attached to the spinning nucleus. Plausible, except for one critical detail. On November 1st, JWST imaging still showed the nucleus as a single intact object. Not a debris cloud, not separated fragments, one object. Either the breakup happened between November 1st and November 8th, a narrow 7-day window, or this explanation is inconsistent with the timeline. More importantly, even if fragments were responsible, the multi-directional orientation of the jets still demands explanation. Fragments ejected from a single breakup event don't naturally produce multiple straight jets pointing in different directions. 3 natural explanations, 3 failures. Which brings us to the hypothesis that makes people uncomfortable but cannot be ignored simply because it challenges expectations. Thruster-like behavior. Jets that maintain precise direction despite rotation are consistent with controlled ejection mechanisms, the kind used on spacecraft for orientation control. Directionally stable, mass flux unaffected by spin, angles inconsistent with natural heating patterns. This isn't speculation about alien spacecraft, it's pattern recognition. The data fits the thruster template better than the Comet template, not as proof of technology, but as evidence that demands explanation, not dismissal. The straight jets aren't anomaly number 1. They're anomaly number 12, and context matters. Let's review what came before. 1. Retrograde orbital path perfectly aligned with planetary planes. Probability 0.2%. 2. Sunward jets. An anti-tail observed in July, August, and November. Mass ejection directly toward the Sun. 3. Mass far larger than Oumuamua, yet 3IATLAS moves faster. 4. Fine-tuned arrival time synchronized with Mars, Venus, and Jupiter flybys. 5. Nickel-rich gas plume, composition similar to industrial alloys. Only 4% water, unusual for natural comets. 6. Extreme negative polarization, unlike any documented comet. 7. Arrival trajectory from the direction of the 1977 WOW signal. 8. Brightening rate faster than any natural comet on record. 9. Color bluer than the Sun itself. 10. Simultaneous sunward and anti-solar jets requiring impossible surface area for natural sublimation. 11. Non-gravitational acceleration demanding 13% mass loss, yet the object never fragmented. 12. Jets maintaining orientation over 1,000,000 kilometers despite 45 rotations. Any single anomaly might be dismissed as statistical noise. 2 or 3 might be interesting outliers. But 12 violations of expectation, each reinforcing the others, form something different. They form a pattern. And patterns in science don't exist to comfort us. They exist to inform us. Avi Loeb has said repeatedly, when the evidence points away from natural explanations, we follow it. Not because we prefer extraordinary conclusions, but because intellectual honesty demands it. On Loeb's methodology scale, 3IATLAS now approaches rank 10, the threshold where technological origin becomes a hypothesis that cannot be responsibly ignored. The next month will be critical. As Earth regains a clearer observational window after 3IATLAS's solar conjunction, multiple facilities are preparing to track every detail. What we're looking for: updated rotation measurements. If the spin period has changed, it will show in new light curves. High-resolution spectroscopy. Gas velocities and composition will reveal whether the jets are thermally driven or kinetically driven. Jet morphology over time. If the jets curve, widen, or fragment, natural explanations regain ground. If they remain stable and multidirectional, the anomaly deepens. JWST follow-up imaging. Evidence of fragmentation versus intact nucleus behavior will rule out or confirm breakup scenarios. Trajectory refinement. Non-gravitational acceleration patterns will become clearer as more data accumulates. Each observation is a test. Each test either strengthens natural models or eliminates them. That's how science works, not through belief or preference, but through elimination of hypotheses that fail to match reality. By mid-December, as 3IATLAS reaches perihelion and thermal stress peaks, we'll know whether this object behaves like a comet, under duress, or like something maintaining structural integrity against forces that should tear it apart. The data will decide, not us. For 45 rotations across 1,000,000 kilometers, 3IATLAS has been drawing straight lines in space where curved lines should exist. Avi Loeb predicted this wouldn't behave like a normal comet. He predicted anomalies. He predicted patterns that resist conventional explanation. He was right, not because of belief, because of evidence. 12 pieces of evidence now, each one documented, measured, and resistant to natural interpretation. The scientific establishment often treats unconventional hypotheses as threats rather than tools. But the history of discovery is written by those who followed data into uncomfortable territory. Those who asked, what if, when everyone else said impossible. 3IATLAS is still writing its story. We don't know the ending yet. But we know this much. The universe doesn't conform to our expectations. It conforms to its own rules. And when 45 rotations produce 0 deviation, those rules are telling us something we haven't heard before. Our job is simple. Listen.